The average value of a function f of x on an interval from a to b, assuming f of x is properly defined on the interval and so forth, is the number f average such that the integral from a to b of that number average value time with respect to x is equal to the integral of f of x with respect to x. Now, f average is just a number, so how can we calculate f average if we have the function f of x and if we assume that we can do this integral? Well, f average just being a number, we can bring it outside of this integral. And we have this. But the integral from a to b of dx is, antiderivative of dx is just x evaluated between a and b. This says that f average times b minus a is the integral from a to b of f of x dx. From which it follows that the average value is this integral divided by b minus a. In other words, just the integral divided by the length of the interval. So, say that f average is the integral from a to b f of x dx over b minus a. Now, we might ask why it makes sense to do this. Well, if you average a bunch of numbers, well, we're not going to not going to get into that right now, but this is the reason f average is what it is. And there's a picture here that depicts the situation. If this is the interval from a to b, and here's your graph of the function, then f average is the value, y value if you will, for which the area of this rectangle equals the area under this curve. So that the area under the curve that's not under the rectangle is equal to the area under the rectangle that's not under the curve. That's a useful picture regarding f average. Now, this whole question arose when we had this function f of x, 2.7 Newton centimeters to the 1.5 over x to the 1.5, and we wanted to find its average value from 1.7 to 2.2 centimeters. Okay. So how do you conceive that? Well, that's just going to be this integral, the integral from 1.7 to 2.2 of n centimeters. Of course, we probably want to put units here since we have units here. Okay, there's the integral. So f average is just this integral divided by the length of this interval. So f average is this integral here divided by 0.5 centimeters, which is the length of this interval. Now, we went into a lot of detail about how to develop this integral, but this is what it comes down to. A couple more comments, but we'll do those next.